Join the WWE on a special night. Nobody does Halloween like SmackDown. The Smackdown Halloween Party next Thursday.
With the consequences for the over 4-year low rating for Raw's Katie Vick's skit follow-up still unknown on the way to next Monday, a special Halloween theme was set for SmackDown in hopes of either boosting or at least offsetting some of the potential drop on a holiday night, as besides the Halloween concept heavily promoted during the week, setting up a strong card with Angle vs Guerrero, Lesnar vs Mysterio, and an opening match of Benoit vs Edge kicking off the show over the first 2 quarters, going 16 minutes in a rare opening match going 2 segments through a commercial break, seeing Edge vs Benoit starting stronger than usual with SmackDown hitting over 5.1 million viewers by the finish. With the SmackDown brand taping its first show in the US from Grand Rapids 2 days after returning from the European tour, highlighted by the Rebellion UK pay-per-view in Manchester on Saturday, headlined by Benoit and Angle against the Guerreros and Lesnar vs Edge for the WWE title, drawing strong crowds throughout Europe, with final figures coming in at over 43,000 people attending the tour, with the company with US business softer than in the recent boom period years, looking to expand its international market to offset some of the domestic business drop, as after the 2 successful overseas SmackDown tours in Australia and Europe, the Raw brand is set to follow in the coming months with 2 tours in India and Japan in November and January, ending up with Edge with his elevation to main event status continuing 3 days after his first pay-per-view headliner, going over after Angle's interference to start the show. Long Angle vs Benoit chase. With the reasoning for the sudden Big Show push as the next title challenger revealed last week as the backup plan for the originally planned Hogan vs Lesnar title match at Survivor Series, more details on the latest Hogan-McMahon dispute were coming out daily in what turned into perhaps the biggest talking point in the company, with Hogan, after getting the creative plans from Vince for his scheduled return in time to start the promotion for his new book about to come out in the next month, with major issues created already on some of the content revealed by Hogan and McMahon in the book during their peak run in the 80s, turning down doing a second straight job to Lesnar at the Garden, with the original plan detailed by McMahon also reportedly include putting on the years in the making Hogan vs McMahon match at the Rumble pay-per-view, leading to all plans for Hogan with the combination of the book content and Survivor Series match being immediately dropped, including any footage of him taken out from the SmackDown show opening video despite him being still under contract through January 2003, and with his book in large part being promoted under the company name, resulting in the ironic situation of both Hogan and Austin now being off television with business disputes with McMahon over doing a job to Lesnar, with Hogan expected to be asked and reveal more details on the latest issues in the near future, with him scheduled for interviews all over the media in the lead up to his book release next month, with the biggest beneficiary from the Hogan-McMahon deal ending up being Paul White, with the company doing a strong job of rehabilitating his character almost overnight, going from being directionless in the Raw mid-card to being perceived as a legit contender for Lesnar's title in the span of 2 weeks, with show after going over Rikishi calling out Lesnar to the ring to build the story of the feud on Brock being overmatched against show, with the legit intrigue of seeing if Brock can suplex show and especially hit the F5 for the finish, seeing the Big Show Lesnar confrontation at the end of the first hour, following up on the strong number for their segment with Taker the previous week to peak the show at the 8:45 p.m. quarter with a 3.6 rating and over 6.2 million viewers, making it 2 straight weeks of an unusual viewing pattern, with SmackDown peaking already midway through, driven by the show vs Lesnar hype in a quarter, also featuring Torrie vs Stone Marie in a putting match in another program, which so far resulted in strong numbers on almost a weekly basis. After a stronger than usual first hour viewership on the back of the final half hour averaging into the 6 million range to total close to 5.5 million viewers in one of the most watched 8 to 9 p.m. hours in months, SmackDown opened the second hour with the start of what ended up a career-changing new gimmick with John Cena after cooling off significantly since being put over strong by Angle and Jericho in the weeks following his debut, with talks in the company going as far as him potentially being cut, founding the niche to differentiate himself as a character on the main roster by debuting a rap gimmick in a Vanilla Ice costume for Halloween, and a segment being set up on the European tour over the last week, with several members of management and the creative team hearing Cena doing impromptu raps on the road to book him to potentially try it on television, eventually getting McMahon's approval to lead to the segment tonight with the top-of-the-hour quarter. Besides the Halloween backstage skits featuring Matt Hardy vs Tajiri going 7 minutes to a 3.4 rating with over 5.7 million viewers, followed by perhaps the most talked about segment on the show with Eric Bischoff invading SmackDown under a Vince McMahon mask kissing Stephanie to lead to a potential new storyline direction in the brand's rivalry, with first speculation being Eric recruiting Stephanie to go against Vince to finally set up the long-awaited Eric Bischoff vs Vince McMahon on-screen feud, with Bischoff after being at the Madison Square Garden box office on Saturday for the Survivor Series pay-per-view tickets going on sale, with him set to unveil the Elimination Chamber structure for the first time on Raw this Monday, seeing the company sending out a press release that the event already sold out the Garden with a record gate due to higher ticket prices, breaking the previous record set for the Royal Rumble in 2000. With SmackDown next seeing perhaps the top advertised match of the night, with Kurt Angle vs Eddie Guerrero kicking off at 9:25 p.m. to cross into the final half hour, going 13 minutes to bump the show over 500,000 viewers to a 3.5 rating and 5.9 million viewers in the second most watched segment of the night, with Angle after working through multiple injuries over the past year without slowing down, with him establishing himself as the almost consensus best in-ring performer in the business, for perhaps the first time showing some signs of the recent injuries taking their physical toll in some of the exchanges with Eddie, with Kurt after working the European tour and tonight's show with knee and back issues accelerating over the last several weeks, set to be given the weekend house shows off through early November, with JR in his latest report confirming that Kurt was given several tours off even though he would rather be on the road working through the injuries than sitting at home to heal, using Kurt as an example of why the company should recruit more legit athletes with similar mentality while putting over Angle as a once-in-a-lifetime performer, with Eddie vs Angle seeing Benoit interfering for the finish to cost Angle the match back to set up a wild backstage brawl at the Halloween party, with both laying each other out simultaneously to continue the one-upmanship feud. Brock Lesnar vs Rey Mysterio in their first singles match was placed to headline the show, with the visual mismatch looking to resemble the size difference between Big Show and Brock to continue to build him up as the underdog, with a gradual babyface turn heading into Survivor Series, seeing Mysterio and Lesnar making their entrances already at 9:53 p.m. with the match going 4 minutes with fast-paced exchanges of Rey comebacks before Big Show's interference for the DQ finish, continuing the strong build-up of show with him throwing Rey to the crowd before laying out Lesnar through the announcer's table to maintain a 3.5 rating in the final quarter, with the Halloween SmackDown special despite the expected holiday drop from the younger demographics, with the show doing a 3.3 rating down from the 3.7 the previous week. Viewership in total held up strong with only a slight drop to 5.6 million viewers overall.